James was a man who lived a simple life. Every morning, he woke up early and went straight to work. He spent long hours at his job, always focused on his work. James didn't buy new clothes or go out to eat. He didn't take vacations or travel to new places. He believed that money was important and that he needed to save as much as he could for the future. His goal was to feel safe and prepared for anything life might throw at him. James lived in a small house. His car was old and his clothes were simple, but he didn't mind. He thought, one day I will have enough money. One day I will be able to rest and enjoy life. He believed that he was making the right choice by working hard and saving money. He thought he was being responsible. People around James often told him, you should enjoy life. Don't just work all the time. But James didn't listen. He thought that enjoying life was not as important as saving for the future. He believed that if he saved enough money, he would be able to relax and enjoy life later. But every time he looked at his bank account, he felt like he needed more. He was never satisfied. He worked harder, saved more, and continued with his routine. James often watched other people. He saw them traveling, eating good food, and buying nice things. They seemed happy and free. But James would shake his head and say to himself, they are not careful, they don't think about the future. They're wasting their time. James thought he was making the right choice. He was being smart and saving money for a better future. But as time went on, something began to change. James noticed that, despite having money in his bank account, he wasn't happy. His life felt empty. He worked hard every day, but there were no exciting moments. There was no laughter or fun. His days were always the same. Wake up, go to work, save money, sleep, and repeat. He didn't take time to enjoy the little things in life. He realized that he had missed out on so much. While others around him were enjoying life, creating memories, and having fun, James was just waiting. Waiting for a future that might never come. He was focused only on money and work, but he didn't have anything that brought him true happiness. He had no adventures, no excitement, no joy. James began to feel lonely. He didn't have many friends, and he didn't spend time with family. He worked, saved money, and thought that someday, when he had enough, everything would be okay, but that day never seemed to come. His house was small, his car was old, and his clothes were simple, but James didn't care. He thought that when he had enough money, he would be able to enjoy life. However, James couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. He would sit by himself and think, I have money, but what else do I have? I work every day, but I'm not happy. I watch others enjoy life, but I'm stuck in this routine. He started to wonder if he was doing the right thing. Was it enough to just save money for the future, or was there something more important? As he looked at his life, he realized that he had spent so many years working and saving, but he had never really lived. He had been so focused on the future that he forgot to enjoy the present. He had missed out on simple pleasures, like taking a walk, enjoying a good meal, or spending time with friends. James had always told himself, I'll do it later. I'll enjoy life later, when I have enough money. But now, he wasn't sure when later would come. He was waiting for something that might never happen. And so, James started to wonder if he was wasting his time. He had been waiting for the right moment, but maybe there was no such thing as a perfect moment. Maybe he had been missing out on the most important part of life, living in the present. One day, James realized that he couldn't keep waiting. He had been saving money for years, but he had never used it to enjoy life. He had worked hard, but he had never done anything fun. He had always told himself that one day he would rest, but that day never came. He thought, what if I never get the chance to enjoy life? What if I wait too long? James began to feel a deep sadness. He thought about the years he had spent working and saving, but not really living. He realized that life was passing him by, and he wasn't enjoying it. His life was about saving for a future that might never come, and he had missed so many opportunities to experience the world and be happy. He thought about all the things he had never done: traveling, trying new foods, meeting new people, and having fun. It was then that James knew he needed to change. He didn't want to keep waiting for the perfect time. He wanted to live now. But James didn't know where to start. He had spent so many years focusing on work and money that he didn't know how to enjoy life. He felt like he had missed out on everything. James realized that he had been living in a way that was safe but unfulfilling. He had been so focused on preparing for the future that he had forgotten to live in the present. He was tired of waiting for a future that might never come. He wanted to change his life, to start living fully, to experience new things, and to make memories. But he didn't know how to begin, and so, in the quiet of his home, James made a decision. He decided that it was time to stop waiting. He would stop living for the future and start living for today. James knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready for a change. He was ready to start living.
One evening, as James was driving home, something unexpected happened. It was a dark night, and the rain was falling heavily. The road was slippery, and James was trying his best to drive carefully. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, keeping his focus on the road ahead. Everything seemed fine at first, but suddenly, bright lights appeared out of nowhere. They came so quickly, and there was no time to react.
Before James could understand what was happening, there was a loud crash. The sound of the impact was deafening. The car spun around, and everything around him went black. He felt a strong jolt, and his body slammed against the seat. In that moment, he had no idea what had happened. His mind was blank, and the world felt still. He didn't know if he was alive or dead. When James finally woke up, he found himself in a hospital bed. The room was white, with bright lights above him. His body was hurting all over his arms, his legs, and his chest. Every part of him felt sore. He tried to move, but his body felt heavy. A doctor stood near him, looking down at him with a calm expression. "You are lucky," the doctor said. "The accident was serious, but you will be fine." James tried to sit up, but the pain in his body made it difficult. He looked around the room and then at his hands. Slowly, he moved his legs. He was alive. But for a moment, he wasn't sure if he was dreaming or if this was real. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. What if he had died in the accident? What if this was the end? What would have happened to all his plans? What would have happened to the money he saved for so many years? The questions flooded his mind. For the first time in a long time, he realized how fragile life really was. He had always thought that saving money and working hard would protect him from everything. But now, lying in a hospital bed, he realized how little control he had over his own life. As James lay there, the doctor continued to check his injuries. The pain was intense, but he couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. He thought about the years he had spent working, saving, and waiting for a perfect moment. He had always focused on the future, telling himself that one day he would be able to enjoy life. But now, faced with the reality of his situation, James realized how much time he had wasted. What good was all the money he saved if he didn't have the time to enjoy it? What was the point of all the hard work if he had no memories or experiences to show for it? He had spent his life thinking that he would be happy when he had enough money. But now, lying in the hospital bed, he knew that money alone couldn't make him happy. The more he thought about it, the more he felt regret. He had worked so hard, but he had never taken a break. He had never traveled, never done anything exciting or fun. He had spent so many years building a life focused on saving, but now he could see that he had missed out on the most important part of life, living it. As James looked out the window of the hospital, he saw the world outside. He thought about all the things he had never done. He had never seen the ocean, never climbed a mountain, never danced in the rain, never tried new foods. He had spent all his time planning for the future, but he had never truly experienced life. He had always told himself, "I'll do it later," but now he realized that later might never come. The more he thought about it, the more he felt a deep sadness. What was the point of saving so much money if he didn't have time to enjoy it? What was the point of working so hard if he didn't have the chance to make memories? James knew that he had been wrong. He had been living for a future that might never come, and in doing so, he had missed out on everything that truly mattered. That night, as James lay in his hospital bed, he made a decision. He didn't want to wait anymore. He didn't want to keep saving for a future that might never come. He wanted to live now. He wanted to experience the world, try new things, and make memories. He realized that life was too short to keep putting things off. From that moment on, James promised himself that he would stop waiting for the perfect moment. He would start living today. But James also knew that changing his life wouldn't be easy. It wasn't as simple as just deciding to live for today. For years, he had focused on work and money, and it would take time to learn how to enjoy life, but he was ready to try. He was ready to take the first step toward a new life, a life where he didn't just work and save, but truly lived. As the days passed in the hospital, James began to think about all the things he wanted to do. He wanted to travel, see new places, meet new people, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. He wanted to stop waiting for a perfect future and start living in the present. James knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to change. He had spent too many years waiting for the future, and now it was time to live for today. In the end, the accident was a turning point for James. It forced him to see the truth about his life. It made him realize that life is not just about saving money and working hard. Life is about living, experiencing, and enjoying the moments that come. James learned that happiness is not something you wait for, it's something you create, starting today. When James finally left the hospital, everything felt different. He had spent so many years living a life that was focused on work and saving. But now, things had changed. James no longer wanted to go back to his old life. He didn't want to return to his small house, his old car, and the same old routine. He didn't want to keep waiting for the future. He wanted to start living fully, right now. He knew that the life he had before wasn't enough. It was a safe life, but it didn't bring him happiness. James realized that he had spent too much time thinking about what could happen in the future, and in doing so, he had missed out on the present. Now, he was ready for a new beginning. He was determined to live life differently and make the most of every moment. James decided to take his first step toward a new life. He was going to do something he had never done before. For years, he had said, "I'll do it later," whenever he thought about traveling or trying new things. But now, he wasn't going to wait anymore. He was going to take action. He started by choosing a place to visit. James didn't know exactly where to go, but he knew he wanted to go somewhere new. He looked online and found a small town by the sea. It wasn't a big, expensive trip, but it was different. It was a place where he could relax, enjoy nature, and experience something new. For the first time in a long while, James felt excited. Buying the plane ticket was a big step for him. He had never done anything like this before. For so many years, he had been careful with his money, always worrying about the future. But now, he was spending money on an experience, not just saving for a rainy day. As soon as he bought the ticket, James felt a sense of freedom. He was doing something for himself, something that would bring him joy. When James arrived at the small town by the sea, he couldn't believe how peaceful it was. The air was fresh and the sky was clear. He walked along the beach, feeling the sand between his toes and listening to the sound of the waves. It was a simple experience, but it made him feel alive. He had never taken the time to enjoy moments like this before. As James walked along the beach, he thought about how much he had missed by focusing only on work and saving. He had spent so much time planning for the future that he had forgotten to live in the present. Now, he was here, and he realized how much he had been missing. He took a deep breath, feeling the salty air fill his lungs. This was life. This was what he had been waiting for all these years. The next day, James decided to take a boat ride. It was something he had never done before, and at first, he felt a little nervous. But he told himself, why not? He got on the boat and let the wind touch his face. As the boat moved across the water, James closed his eyes and felt the breeze. It was simple, but it made him feel free. James spent the next few days exploring the town, trying new foods, and meeting new people. He walked around the markets, tasted local dishes, and enjoyed the beauty of the town. Every day, he discovered something new. He realized that life didn't have to be complicated. It didn't have to be filled with work and worrying. Life could be about enjoying the small things, the food, the people, the nature around him. In the evenings, James sat by the beach, watching the sunset. The sky changed from orange to pink, and the sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon. It was a peaceful moment, and for the first time in a long while, James felt calm. He thought about how much he had taken for granted. He had spent so many years working hard, thinking that the future would be better. But now, he understood that the future wasn't guaranteed. What mattered was what he did today. On his last day in the town, James felt a sense of peace that he had never felt before. He had made memories, experienced new things, and felt the joy of living. He had learned that life wasn't about waiting for the perfect time to come. It was about living in the moment, enjoying each experience as it came. James returned home, but he wasn't the same person who had left. He was changed. He had learned that life was about more than just work and saving. It was about living fully, experiencing the world, and making the most of every moment. He knew that he couldn't go back to his old ways of living. From now on, he would focus on the present. He would seek new adventures, try new things, and create memories. As James walked back into his house, he smiled. It was the same house, the same old car, but he felt different. He no longer felt like he was just waiting for something to happen. He was ready to make life happen. The journey he had started was just beginning, and he was excited for what was to come. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew that he would face it with open arms, ready to live fully and embrace whatever came his way. James had learned an important lesson. Life is not about saving for the future or working endlessly. It's about living today, making the most of every moment, and enjoying the simple things that life has to offer. He was finally ready to live the life he had been waiting for. And this time, he wasn't going to wait any longer. James' journey was a long one, but it was also a very valuable lesson. At the beginning of the story, James lived his life focused only on the future. He worked hard every day, saving money and avoiding pleasures like traveling, eating out, or spending money on anything that wasn't necessary. He believed that one day, when he had enough money, he could rest and enjoy life. But that day never seemed to come. Even though his bank account grew, his happiness didn't. He found himself living a life without joy, without excitement, and without memories. The turning point came when James experienced a life-changing accident. It was in that moment, lying in a hospital bed, that he realized how fragile life was. The accident made him question everything he had been doing. He had spent all those years working and saving, but for what? His money couldn't help him when he was in pain, and it couldn't give him the life he had been hoping for. In that moment, he decided to change. He promised himself that he would stop waiting for the perfect moment and start living today. James took his first step toward change by traveling to a small town by the sea. He enjoyed the simple things he had ignored before, like feeling the sand between his toes and watching the sunset. He learned that life is not about waiting for a future that may never come. It's about living in the present, enjoying the small moments, and making memories. The most important lesson James learned was that life is short. We often spend too much time worrying about the future, saving money, or waiting for things to be perfect. But the truth is, we never know what the future holds. We must live fully now, because the present is the only time we have. James realized that life isn't just about working and saving, it's about enjoying each day and making the most of every moment. Lesson for life. This story teaches us that we should not wait for the perfect moment to start living. Life is happening right now, and it is up to us to make the most of it. We should enjoy the small things, take risks, try new things, and stop putting off our dreams for later. While it's important to work hard and plan for the future, we should also remember to live in the present and create memories along the way. So, what can we apply from James' story? Don't wait for tomorrow to enjoy life. Take time to appreciate the little things, make time for fun, and pursue the things that bring you joy. Life is precious, and it's important to make the most of it today. Now, let's test your understanding with a small quiz. Which of the following is the main lesson from James' story? A. Save as much money as you can for the future. B. Live in the present and enjoy each moment. Please comment with your answer. Or B. If you found this story helpful and want to hear more, please subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us motivated to create more useful content. If you'd like to contribute to our work, consider donating to help us with the cost of making high-quality content. We do this for free to help you improve your English, but any support helps us continue this important work. Thank you.